Star quality. I got it. I got this. You got it. You got it. My chart says so. Look at me go. Sun, moon, rising. It's all about timing. It's all about timing. Earthlings. What's it all mean? What's it all mean? Star quality.
What's it all mean? What's it all mean?
Star quality.
Woo. No, dude, really, what does it all mean?
Star quality. I got it. You got it. You got it. Star quality. Star quality. What is up, Star Party people? Welcome back to Star Quality. I'm your host and astrologer, Stevie, and we are getting into today's new moon. Wow, Taurus season thus far. I mean, the truth for me, my personal truth, is I find when the astrology is stable, stable enough, and that's kind of in Taurus season for the most part. Is there stability in 2026? Jury's out, looking less than likely. But I don't know if it's post my birthday. My birthday was on the 2nd, or the stability of Taurus season, the change that we're fully in post Uranus and Gemini, the fact that Uranus and Gemini is like sitting on my Mercury, so that's probably not helping. There's something when the astrology is so chill is when I'm unchill. Just a pattern I'm recognizing for myself is like, I feel like when it's like, wow, yeah, no notes, no, nothing to blame in theory sort of astrology is when I'm like, this week, y'all, I hit a wall. I don't know, again, if it's like now entering my quote late 30s and quote feeling behind and this and reflecting and catching up. And I mean, the last few days, shout out to everyone in my personal life who's been holding me. Just like, I go through waves as a Cancer rising too, just of like, the faucet is on or it's off, and the faucet is on. I've been just crying. So just wanted to take that vulnerability shout out early in the moment because, I'm an enjoyer of life. I'm grateful for so much that I get to experience and enjoy and do. And 10 years ago me would be so proud of me. Baby me would be like, whoa, what the fuck are you complaining about? But also, human feelings are real. Like, I got into a real state of the world sadness. I got into a real fucking AI sadness. I was literally crying, being like, I fucking hate AI. That was where I was at. And, full disclosure, so there's no deception. I'm not even a purist, but I just think where it's going, what it's aimed to replace, like, there's a difference between like organizing spreadsheets and this AI music and AI, like, just everything, it's just so gross. It's like, and that's maybe, again, it's the Taurus season amplification. Taurus wants quality and doesn't mind investing in the right things and knows when things are overpriced too. And there's just so many let this AI thing audit you. And it's like, it's just a fucking prompt cycle of slop of existing information that doesn't do anything. And, now since I don't know, it really had just hit a wall this week. I feel like this spring, there's just been an even further push of AI-ness because the death rattle of how technically unuseful in so many ways is catching up. And I do think the bubble, I don't know, I'm curious when the bubble will fully pop. I think it's going to take some time, unfortunately, because there's just so much fucking money involved. I do know in the future, when is this? I think I've talked about this before. Light prediction here. Okay, well, in 2028, we're going to have Uranus meet up with a Venus retrograde in Gemini, and Mercury's going to be there at the same time. So I'm very curious, if in that spring, summer 2028, there's maybe that's some form of a bubble pop. But what, I don't know if I want to say it worries me, but there is a link up that's pretty interesting that happens in, let me go back and find it. Yeah, once we get into closer to summer 2030, which sounds far, but is close, is nearby. Uranus is still going to be in Gemini, and we're going to have the South Node and Saturn all together. And that feels like, I don't know if it's going to be it's like, I feel like it's one of two coins. One side of this coin is like, oh yeah, like this shit is fucking gone. Like we've seen the harm. We like every accelerationist needs to shut the fuck up, and maybe regulation, or maybe again just like the social undoing because of the Gemini-ness. I mean, just could be a full personal. I mean, just think about it. Think about it at this pace right now to 2030, when there is no other, like offering of what people, support for people, especially as we are seeing so much like mass job elimination. And it's like, bro. So those are the dates that stand out to me in terms of maybe like AI, whatever, consequences or bubbles. And maybe, that was just a really quick glance. I just think like, Pluto is anchored in Aquarius about technology in the future and where we're going. And Uranus is about that change and evolution and technology. And yeah, there's all the Gemini-ness that's to come, I think is, important in this techie story. I have not been watching this new season of Hacks, but I do really like the clip about, AI and forced inevitability that Hannah Einbender gets into. And I think she's also just an amazing, famous figure of this time who actually like lives by her morals and is outspoken, and just shout out to that Gemini queen. I'll put a link in the show notes of that clip because it's also very funny. Anywho, not to be a downer of the gate, but just want to just be transparent on where I was entering. Just had an existentialness, but ain't that post-birthday blues. Though I will say I had the best birthday of all time. Thank you to everyone who gave some love, who partied with me, who booked a reading, because that's the biggest birthday gift. I love being able to read for y'all. I still have that code activated in case you want to hop on that. I'm just not turning it off. If you've heard it here, you are reminded. So if you go to book a reading with me, you can get $37 off all readings with the code BDayGift37. So BDayGift37. And that's over on my booking link, which will be in the show notes. But if you want to manually type it in, it's astrologywithstevie.me. Also on my Substack, there is a link at the top for book a reading that just takes you to the reading booking page. So super simple. We are going to get into this new moon. God, we need her. We need her. And I think that's the other part that comes with, being a Taurus. I'm a Taurus. This Taurus new moon, Taurus energy is just like, we don't like dumb shit, it's like when it feels like the Mugatu quote of Zoolander. It's like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, and like the frustration that can come, and what frustration can move the bull, So if you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, hello. If you are a third space member, what up? If you would like to upgrade your subscription and support my user-supported indie publication here, for $7.77 a month. And mind you, I got to take out the taxes, the fees, etc. So after all that, for the price of buying me an iced latte with oat milk that I can go and tip the barista nice, you will get all the paywalled side of this episode of all the full weekly horoscopes. And you help make this happen so I can make more and more. And and AI free, just a heads up if that wasn't clear. Nope, all this is a la carte, my own brain. And yeah, that's the scoop. So I'm going to get into the aspects that are being made to the sun and moon, and then everything else of this chart is going to be after the paywall, so there'll always be some free tidbits, but check it out. There's also a weekly 7-day free trial if you want to check that out. and let's dig in. I do like this new moon. I've honestly liked Taurus season. Again, I think maybe I didn't complete my thought on when there's good astrology quote is when I tend to break down. And I think it's because there's in a way nothing to blame. It's like, oh my God, I have stable space. I have breathing room. I have the ground's not moving. So now I can feel. And I don't know. I'm curious if other people feel that. I feel like during wild style astrology, I'm like, I don't know. I'm usually like, whatevs. Or, it depends on what's happening in life. Maybe it depends on your own Uranus placement in your chart and how one deals with chaos. Mine's with Saturn and Neptune, and it's like everything's always been chaos. And I think this was just a moment to just feel and grieve. Honestly, it felt like grieving. Shout out to my friend Maddie, who was like, let's use the feelings wheel. What are you feeling? I'm like, frustrated, disappointed, and, had therapy, etc. So and also, I don't know about y'all who maybe had to be the strong one as a kid or in relationships, but I feel like if I am in a blue mood, often the people around me want to hurry me up. And a big thing that I've worked on with both my husband and my friends and my family is hey, your need to hand me the Band-Aid is it's okay if I feel complaining for 72 hours, Or, I remember my first therapist who I went to, I can't remember, or maybe it was an astrology school. We were just talking about client work, right? Working with someone during, feelings and where intense information is bringing up things. And I'm having a blur of a memory, but the message was, when someone starts to cry in a therapist setting or in an astrologer counseling setting, which is not therapy unless someone is licensed, but there's this need to immediately hand someone the tissues, right? And be like, oh my God, you're crying here. Maybe it had to have been my therapist who shared this, but there is this oh yeah, you don't have to rush to tissues or have to hurry someone's feelings along. And that's symbolically oh God, uncomfortable. Here, you're crying. Here's the thing. And it's obviously, of course, a nice gesture. And I don't think anyone consciously means that, but subconsciously it's uncomfortable. And it's wrap that up. But yeah, so anyways, so if anyone's, and talk about Taurus thing, no need to rush through anything, right? Taurus is about taking our time. So if you've been feeling like you want to sit in something for a little bit, even if it's uncomfortable, why not? And especially because Uranus is in this new position where we're trying on, new shoes right now. We're trying on a new identity in some ways. We're being forced to try on some new identities, and it's not necessarily comfortable. So this Taurus New Moon is happening on May 16th, 2026 at 1:01 p.m. Pacific time. Adjust for your time zone. There is an image of the chart in the show notes too, so you can follow along there, but I will break this down auditorily speaking. And a new moon is, of course, always when we have the sun and moon in the same position. That's when the moon is its darkest, it's fully black, and that new moon is where the absence of light allows us to go internal and see what we do want to plant, what we do want to cultivate by the next time, by the time we have a full moon where we can see the results. So we have the sun and moon, of course, in Taurus at 25 degrees. Nearby, we have Mercury at 28 degrees. And out of sign, but part of the party is Uranus in Gemini at 1 degree of Gemini. So just to start with the aspects to the sun and moon, the only aspects that are happening besides the conjunction with itself, of course, sun and moon coming together, is this cluster. So Mercury and Uranus definitely have other aspects happening to them because they're at this a little bit later degree, in Uranus being in Gemini. And most notably, there's some stuff going on with Pluto that's interesting, but we're going to focus just on the sun and moon aspects for now. And then my third spacers, my upgraded subscriber people, will get into the rest of it in a bit. But for now, let's start with the sun and moon and Mercury and Uranus. So first things first, when we think about the sun, about how we're actually living here day to day on Earth, what we're growing into, what we're embodying. And then the moon also in terms of our subconscious, of our emotional space, right? This is like a realignment of, do we like this? Are we into this? How are we feeling? And especially with Mercury there, because Mercury in Taurus is about speaking on what you really need to live your best life. We're hot off the tails of a Mercury Cazimi earlier in the week. So Mercury's had a lot of action, but Mercury was in the heart of the sun. It was combust. It was explosive. And I think too, another thing I really appreciated from my dear friend Maddie, she was like, just asking me like, well, what do you want? And, I ask this a lot in astrology readings too. And it's a hard question to answer a lot of the times, right? It's like, well, what do I just want? It's like, fuck, I guess just like stability or security or something that fulfills my creative soul or whatever, whatever it is. And then oftentimes we are like doing the things we want, but we want a bigger version of that. My download on this Uranus in the mix, though, does feel like nurturing two sides of yourself, because Taurus can be singular. It can be very, for better or worse, like that. Taurus, when it has its, I am a target, it just trudges dutifully forward. And there is something here with Uranus, because Uranus offers, like a little bit of surprise and change. And it's not in Taurus anymore, right? It's not in the same sphere that it has been for so long. It's entered a new kingdom, and now it's in the Gemini world. And so Gemini does remind us about duality and just maybe not, I don't know, if there's been this like, you got to just go fully in on this niche, or you got to go fully in on this one thing, and don't distract yourself. I think because, again, of how we don't even need astrology to see how unstable so many things are. What a cue to maybe just like not forget another side of yourself. Like maybe if you are someone, I don't know, you're a musician, you make music, you teach lessons, like you have a very like job about your musicianship, to not forget your own personal practice, to not, maybe there's another side of, maybe you want to produce and make a little, maybe it's a money thing, maybe it's just a personal thing, but there's like, I think Gemini is reminding this herd of bulls with Mercury, how we're expressing ourselves. And Mercury too. Mercury is our voice. Mercury in Taurus is about creative expression, about singing. Like, I don't know, maybe that's why the music's coming to mind. Taurus in general is about creativity and scratch. I think the Uranus like scratch the other side of your brain. Like, what if you are just so, and maybe this is it always, when I'm reading for y'all, I'm reading for myself because I'm reading for the collective and we need to hear it. It's like, maybe if I've been just too astrology, maybe I need to go do pottery or something. Actually, this is why I'm thinking of this. There was like a clip of Kylie Jenner just talking about how in order to slow down time, you just have to do new things. And I was like, yeah, she's right. Like she's absolutely right. And I think she mentioned pottery as an example. I mean, I feel like that's always the go-to. It's like, you need variety in your life, or you need to slow down, or, pottery forces us to like not scroll on our phones. Right. So the TLDR, I think of, sun and moon, conscious, subconscious link up, Mercury, our voice, what we want to say, what represents us, what we have to share, the fact that we should be sharing it, your voice is meant to be heard, but then also the Uranus too of like not just containing yourself to one lane, which Taurus can do often. Be like, okay, I do this thing and that's it. It's like, it's okay if you, I think Gemini energy is multi-hyphenate energy, and that it's like, it's a gift, because you don't know also what side of you may be seen for that. I have this all the time, and weigh in if you have a thought. My handle, someone asked me recently, like, why are you spaghetti_witch like on social? And, the non-sexy answer was, well, my legal birth name is really common, and I never could grab handles. And also at the time, back when Instagram first launched, silly handles were all the rage. And I was like, I love spaghetti, I love pasta, I love enjoyment and pleasure. And I'm a witch, I'm the spaghetti witch. as simple as that. And I constantly toggle between, should I just change it to like, I don't know, astrology with Stevie. Stevie's this, da, da, da. And like, of course, I have the different monikers. I think, how we name ourselves, how we want to be called feels also very here. Maybe some of you are ready to do a name change or a handle change. Or on this, the flip of this story is, but then I'll get an email from like a company that wants to work on this thing, and they're like, oh, well, we do food content, and we want to talk about this, and I'm like, oh yeah, like actually, like I give good fucking referrals and recommendations, and like maybe I'm not just this singular astrologer. Maybe there's just a thing. I am a witch of wealth of knowledge, and things that you can do to bring in pleasure and joy, and is that something, So name change though, or maybe if there is a side of you that needs a new moniker or wants to, like, if you do want to create, maybe it's having a little different identity around it. Maybe if you're like, I'm too scared to post, it's like maybe you just need to like go a little more anon. Maybe there's like a facelessness. I don't know. It does bring up a change in identity and how you want to share if like being attached to a certain name or entity has not worked for you thus far. Okay, I think I like that. I like that for this. I'm going to get into the aspects now happening to Mercury and Uranus, because I think that's going to give us more context to this story. We're going to build on this story. But before I go, I just want to say I'm almost done, but not yet. But I'm almost done with Lena Dunham's new memoir, Famesick. Is anyone else reading it? Would you want a book club? Maybe it's just for subscribers only. We just have like a little, like, I don't know, online chat or something, or just bring it to the chat room. Maybe I'll start a thread in there. I don't know. Please comment. I love to hear what you resonate with. If any, questions I posed in this episode so far, if you have an answer. Why do you go by what you're called? What is your name? What is your moniker? What does it evoke? What does it mean for you? And you guys, just Lena Dunham is the Queen Taurus. It was just her birthday. Happy 40th to Lena. I didn't realize she was on Substack. I just subscribed to her on Substack too. Dreamcast would love to talk about her chart. Oh, I gotta make that happen. Let's all tag Lena in here if you don't mind. And I think I'm just wanted to shout out that book because I've just been enjoying it, and I think Lena is just such a Taurus. Like, just reading her, like how she write. Well, I haven't looked at her chart. I have looked at her chart before, but if she doesn't have Gemini placements, I'd be surprised. So we don't have a rising, so we got to get that from her. Of course, she's Gemini Venus. Of course. So she's Sun, Mercury, Taurus, Moon in Cancer, Gemini Venus, Capricorn Mars. Oh, right. Well, she's a few days before my dear friend Callie. Happy birthday. Shout out to Callie, third space member. Shout out. Dang, I didn't realize Callie. We'll have to talk off pod. You're not here. It's like, we will talk off pod. But just, yeah, Lena is just such a queen Taurus. And I just really, her candid, fresh eyes, happy to be here. I think she just represents some of the like really sunny, positive, kind of pure side. I think, we hear a lot about Aries being the baby of the zodiac, but like, so what? Taurus is like the toddler then, right? Like, they're still very new here, And I think that's why Taurus can enjoy and relish in pleasure so much, because it's like simple. Oh, it's just like grass on toes, the smell of cookies. Like, it's just, there's a simplicity that Taurus, I think, also embodies like Aries does, and doesn't get shout out enough. And oof, Lena in the book just shows the detrimental side of being too loyal as a Taurus. Because, I mean, some of the things she, like, zero judgment to her, because I've been there, where I don't know. Dude, I wonder now if she is, I wouldn't be surprised if she was a Cancer rising and putting a lot of her Taurus-y or something. She must be 11th housey because she's so friend group and community and the internet. We got to get to Lena, guys. So let's work on that. And I don't want to ask her any more favors. She talks about this in the book, so we will acknowledge this. She's been very generous to too many people throughout her life. But this, we got to get a rising sign. We got to get chatting about this. So anyways, let's get into the other side of this episode. Thank you for listening, and let's get into the aspects happening to Mercury and Uranus.